when I'm getting paid for something, or like I have a very like specific thing that I need to be doing. Also because it's like I feel like work is a reflection of, I don't want to say my worth, but my capability. So like if I mess up at work, I feel a lot worse about it than if I mess up in my personal life. I guess because not that I don't see myself as a person at work, but it's
oh my gosh,
kind of like I don't want to, I'm not saying I see myself as a machine, but it's like you have this purpose, and are you fulfilling it? If you're not fulfilling it, then
oh my gosh, you're a victim. That's funny. Hey y'all, this is Instructions Not Included. I'm Arielle.
And this is Imani. Instructions Not Included is a lifestyle podcast where we talk about all the areas in life that we wish we would have more instructions on, and we are writing our own instructions. This podcast is rooted in growth, community, and wellness. We hope you learn something, we hope you laugh, and we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Thanks for joining us today. Welcome back
to Instructions Not Included. Today we have a very exciting episode, as we do every week. But today we're talking about vulnerability. So get comfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable.
That's a good one. That was good.
Anyway, why are we talking about vulnerability today?
Because vulnerability is a catalyst for change. What does that mean?
Say more.
That's what we're going to unpack in this episode.
Okay, so vulnerability is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. We are talking about vulnerability because we want to embrace the moments of vulnerability that inevitably come, that are unexpected, and we want to embrace it and not be ashamed of it. We don't want it to be seen as a weakness. And we also want to promote the fact that we can use vulnerability to our benefit. We can use it as a tool for growth. We can use it to our advantage, and we can also use it intentionally.
Yeah, it was a really good one.
And I think it captures the like significance of vulnerability, because like when you're like, oh, I don't like being vulnerable, I'm scared of being vulnerable, it's like, okay, you're scared to like tell people your feelings. But when you put it like exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, it's like, yeah,
we were trying to like, I think every word in there, like exposed and possibility and then like harmed, those were the three words that really stood out to me. And I was like, yeah, you do feel exposed when you're being vulnerable. And then it is the possibility, because it's a risk reward type of situation, right?
It's you're exposing yourself to the unknown, the possibility.
And then harmed physically or emotionally, because you're like, oh my gosh, this person or these people could hurt me.
Yeah, honestly, now that we're breaking this down, this is exactly why I don't like vulnerability. I don't like being exposed. I don't like the unknown. And who likes to be harmed? Like, this is just not really up my alley.
Yeah.
And I know you're asking,
girl, why would I need to do this? Why would
I do this on purpose?
Intentionally?
And that's what we're going to tell you today. And hopefully you agree by the end.
Or at least understand our point of view, you know?
Right. Another thing, I can't remember if we already said this, but we're going to be talking about like the spectrum of being vulnerable. We don't want to frame it as anything being positive or negative or a good thing or a bad thing, but we do want to acknowledge that just like with anything, most of the time it's best to be in the middle or at least have a balance.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so starting with the self, to set up that spectrum that I was just talking about. So with the self, being vulnerable with yourself, that spectrum can kind of look like on one end, not holding yourself accountable and kind of just letting yourself do whatever you want and charging it to the game. Or the other side of that spectrum, the far end, the other extreme is beating yourself up all the time and being not too real with yourself, but just beating yourself up.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. Being too harsh.
Yeah, being too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
First of all, being vulnerable with yourself, what does that even mean?
When we were talking, I think I got to a point where it was like being vulnerable with myself is being honest with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Honest with myself about the things. I was thinking about like self-awareness.
Yeah.
And
Facing yourself.
yeah, facing yourself. I think that's what we're saying. That sounds like easy, but also if you like sit and think about it, that sounds kind of deep.
Yeah. And I feel like for certain people, like it may be easy in some areas and not easy
That's
in
very
others.
true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Not recently, I've been working on this for a few years now, but forgiving myself and showing myself grace.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to be one of those people who beat themselves up, basically, who was very like hard on myself when I made a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
when I felt like I knew better, I should have done better.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, in certain ways, punish myself. And I do want to talk about the whole punishing myself thing, because I think a lot of people might think, I don't know where your mind goes when you think about punishing yourself, but for me, it was like isolating myself. It was like if I made a mistake out there, I needed to basically like not have fun, not, it's kind of like I put myself in a bubble and I'm like, I kind of don't deserve joy or like good things. And I don't think like people can really like other people outside looking in won't recognize that. But, and I don't think I knew I was really doing that to myself. But when I sat there and thought about it, reflected, I realized that I would feel so bad about like messing up, then I would just
Retreat.
I retreated. Yeah. Instead of like, and now, you know, what I do is like, wow, I messed up. That sucks. I can face it and I'm like, okay, but this isn't a reflection of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I used to internalize my mistakes a lot. Like, I made it very personal. Like, man, you should have done better because you knew better. But now I'm like, I messed up and I forgive myself.
Yeah. You accept yourself, accept your mistakes. I'm the same way. I can't say that I'm still not that way because I am. I beat myself. I am very hard on myself.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned recently, I was talking to kind of like a mentor and we were just talking about like strengths and weaknesses and all of that. And I was telling him, like, I'm good at extending grace to other people, but not so much myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that you can't extend something to somebody else that you don't know how to do for yourself. And so then I was like, And I think for me, this was like a mentor in the workspace. And so I think at work, I don't extend myself very much grace. In my personal life, I do. And I think we talked about this. We definitely talked about this on one of the episodes, but I see myself like my work and personality are two different people. When I'm getting paid for something or like I have a very like specific thing that I need to be doing, also because it's like I feel like work is a reflection of, I don't want to say my worth, but my capability. So like if I mess up at work, I feel a lot worse about it than if I mess up in my personal life. I guess because not that I don't see myself as a person at work, but it's
oh my gosh,
kind of like I don't want to, I'm not saying I see myself as a machine, but it's like you have this purpose and are you fulfilling it? If you're not fulfilling it, then
oh my gosh, you're a victim.
Capitalism got me.
I get it. You're a victim.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I realized that I do, like when he said that and I thought about it, I was like, I kind of am, I can be like that at work because it's just like, if you're not doing your job, what are you doing? Like I get sometimes that. I remember specifically there was this work project that me and another coworker were doing. And to me, it was like the simplest thing that we could have ever been doing. And it was taking her a long time to understand it. And I was like, girl, I'll just do it. We don't, like, this is not even a 2-person job. I'll just do it. And I was so impatient. And then I, like, had to, like, talk to myself. I was like, just calm down. Just you do your part. She does her, like, just. And it's not that I was upset about it. I just, like, I wasn't having patience. Which is the opposite to how I am in my personal life, because oh my God, I'm severed.
Moment of realization.
What the fuck? Okay, moving on.
She's having a moment.
Moving on, because I never thought of myself like that.
So you were watching that show and you were just like, wow, that's. At no point did you.
No, I did like relate to it. No, I definitely, and I feel like that's why I like it, because I'm like, oh, this this is really speaking on whatever. But I just didn't
realize maybe
because I just was like, in my personal life, like, I'm just not that person. I'm like, that's,
you're not that person.
Yeah,
but you're the same.
It's the same person.
Wow.
But I do not show up as myself all the time at work. We gotta move on from this.
Yeah, this is
being vulnerable with yourself also leads to self-discovery.
Oh my God. Oh my God. See how all of that just loops. I love it.
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm severed. I'm so upset. I'm not gonna lie, I'm so upset. You know what? First of all, I've been halfway unemployed for 2 years, so
yeah,
maybe that's why I can now have this realization.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah, this is a lot for me right now. Anyway, let's move on.
Self-discovery, right?
Sometimes you have to confront things that you don't like about yourself. I don't like that I'm severed, but
I really like this real-time example.
Yeah. I don't. I don't like being an example.
No, it's really funny because Imani always wants to talk about things that are happening in real time, and I hate it. And she's always trying to be like, yeah, this is what's going on in my life. Let's do an episode about this. I'm like, yeah, no.
I don't want people to know what's happening in my life.
And now, here she is. So this is why you should be vulnerable with yourself, right?
So you can have realizations like this.
It's like looking in the mirror. It's really understanding yourself. You're discovering yourself, discovering parts of yourself that you wouldn't just be aware of if you're going through life
not paying attention.
Yeah, automatically. What is it called? Autopilot. You're just like showing up to work and this is what I have to do. This is who I am at work. This is just what it is. And once I leave work, I'm myself again.
This is terrible. I can't even finish the episode. I'm sorry. This is a lot for me. I am having a really hard time. What's so funny is we talked about when we were planning this episode, we were like, have we ever cried in an episode? And I think I've cried like happy tears. Blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like about to cry because I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Wow.
I'm having not a good time.
Hey, you need to practice grace right now. Extend it to yourself.
No, I'm literally in my head like, how did I let this happen?
Are you beating yourself up, Imani?
Yes!
In real time. Oh my gosh. This is so good. This is so good.
This is, wow, not where I thought this was going. I don't even know how we got here.
I'm glad it's not me. I can tell you that much.
And that's we're only like 10 minutes into the episode, so don't count yourself out. I cannot believe this. Let's move on. Why are we still I don't even know what we're supposed to be talking about. I'm discombobulated.
Right. Oh, it is getting hot. Okay, what are different ways you practice vulnerability with yourself? I think I said something about extending grace and forgiveness to myself.
Yeah, that's how we got on this whole thing. We were talking about extending grace and how I don't extend it to myself.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay.
Anyway. So we were talking about, I'm on a fucking another weight loss journey, but we were talking about how like in order for you to even start like a weight loss or a weight gain, whatever kind of journey you're going on, like with your health or your body, you have to first admit to yourself that like, there is a problem or that there is something that you want to change. It doesn't always have to be like necessarily a problem, but I want to change this about myself. I don't like this about myself, or this could be better about myself. You have to be able to say that to yourself, because somebody else could tell you that. The doctor could tell you that. Like, anybody could tell you that, but if you don't believe it or if you don't see it, it's gonna be like,
the first time she told me that, what I really liked that she was sharing was, let's say if she was like 30 pounds lighter, or let's say you were just like, you were much skinnier but still like above the BMI, and then you didn't like how you looked, you would be like, yeah, I don't care about this, like I want to gain a few pounds, right?
Yeah. And
then let's say, but now you're like, no, I want to lose weight, this is not okay. And in both instances, I said the doctor would be like, no,
you need to,
yeah, you need to lose some weight, but it's up to you, and you have to be able to face yourself and be like right now, like, no, this is not acceptable. I need to make a change. But you won't get there if you're not being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Accepting yourself and being aware.
Yeah.
Accepting yourself for who you are and not who you or the doctor wants you to be.
Oh, and another thing we talked about was who I am versus who I want to be. A lot of times we don't want to be vulnerable with ourselves because we don't want to face the reality of who we actually are. It's easy to be like, oh, I'm a nice person, I'm da 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 da, and then sitting there with yourself when you did something really mean to someone or whatever, and being like, that was not cool. Or for example, someone who doesn't like to apologize, and then you do moment of realization.
Me.
Anyway.
Yep, your turn. Let's go.
I am a lot better at apologizing now than I used to be. Like, I didn't really apologize that much, not because I'm terrible. It's just a lot of times I'm like, if I said it, I meant it. And, if you took it wrong, oh my gosh, that sounds so bad.
So where's the growth?
I said before.
It's giving you belief that now.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, so what's the...
But what I was saying is I had to be honest with myself and be like, this is not who I want to be. I want to be someone who can, what's it called? Accept, like, if I make a mistake, I can own up to it. And that was kind of the thing. Sometimes I'll hurt someone's feelings, and then I know that I did, and I feel it, but my pride was like, don't apologize or whatever. And I had to like be in those moments, be like, no, this doesn't feel good for a reason, because that's not who I want to be, right? Like, yeah, I'm not actually okay with this, even though like this is kind of who I am. It's the thing about like identity, like this is the person that I've always been. I don't apologize, that whatever. So me doing that would be different. Yeah. Right?
It's the unknown.
Yeah. Like, I don't know that person that like apologizes for everything. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to, like it would be nice to be a good person, but I don't know if I want to be that person. But then like lean into that. Right. And that's what I had to do. Like, the conversation's gonna be a little uncomfortable because I'm not used to apologizing. And before, I'm not that much better at it, but
we love the honesty. Being honest with yourself.
I'm not that much better at the apologize part, like the words. I do apologize, but I'm saying like, that's what I was talking about. What did you think I was saying? I thought you were saying like I haven't worked on it.
Oh no.
Yeah. So before I used to just be like, yeah, sorry about that. Just short and sweet, because it's still kind of like there's some shame and like, I don't know how comfortable I am doing this, right? Versus now we can be like, hey, I said this and it's not what I meant, but I know how you felt and impacted you. Like, I know how to like do all of that now. And I'm more comfortable with this part and being vulnerable in that way because I leaned into it and worked on it, right? Yeah. It was very uncomfortable for a while.
Another thing that like we're talking about, like we are people that want to get better and progress as people. Like you could just be like, yeah, I'm a person who doesn't apologize and I'm not going to change it. I don't see any reason why I need to change
Yeah.
it. But it's like you want to be better.
Yeah.
Like you want to get better at things.
And if you've been listening to us, one of our pillars is growth. And that's a huge reason why being vulnerable is actually really important. Because because it's a risk, right? Like, it's hard.
It's something that nobody really wants to do. I'm not going to say nobody, but
if we go back to the definition, like the whole, what is it, the possibility
of being harmed, you're being exposed. Like, that doesn't sound like a good time for anybody.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a good time. But we know that, growth, what happened? What's the little thing? Growth happens. Something that happens on the other side of fear.
Growth, growth happens on the other side of fear.
So that's another reason why you should do it. If you just want to grow, just be like, you know what, I got to do whatever scares me. And if vulnerability scares you, well, that's a good place to start.
That is a really good place to start. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to be scared, we have an episode about fear and the fear archetype, so you can go watch that. Or actually, you can listen to it. You can't watch it.
Yeah. Listen to that. That would be nice. Okay. So the next little chunk we want to talk about is vulnerability with others.
Why should we do it? I think, did we do that for self? Like, why is being vulnerable with other people important?
Yeah. Why is it important? The easy answer to me is that it helps you build deeper connections.
Mm-hmm. It helps you get beyond surface level.
Yeah.
If you're being vulnerable with somebody, that allows you to get below surface level. That allows you to get past the small talk. That allows you to get past like pleasantries. That allows you to get past. I feel like when you first meet somebody or early on in the relationship, and we can use like romantic relationships as an example. When you're like kind of in that honeymoon phase, sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it can be hard to see like people's flaws, or you see them and you kind of ignore them and you just focus on all the stuff that you love about them. And then once you are coming to a point where you are actually facing those differences that you have and kind of accepting those flaws or things that you might not, I don't want to say that you don't love about the person, but maybe things that cause tension,
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
friction.
That's when the relationship goes deeper, because at first you're in that honeymoon phase. You're just, oh, I love you, I love everything about you, and blah 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 blah. And then you have to kind of get real and be like, there's no person that you love 100% everything about them. That's just not reality. And then it goes deeper. You learn more about yourself. You learn more about the other person. You learn about what makes them tick. You learn about, what they actually like and dislike, what hurts their feelings. Like, you go beyond just, I like you.
But also, we can take it some other ways, like other relationship dynamics, like the workplace. We can talk about that because, like Imani was saying, sometimes we tend to moment of realization. Oh, I wouldn't finish it.
No, I just had another realization.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're talking about when we're talking about this earlier, we're talking about, because you're talking about coworkers. Mm-hmm. And so I was explaining to her about how at one of my jobs, I had a coworker who became one of my best friends, and I was not being vulnerable or sharing anything with anybody else in the office. Like, I had been working there for almost a year. I didn't really it's not even that I didn't really like anybody. I just was so unhappy that, like, I don't want to be close to anybody here. Like, I'm trying to find my way out. I don't want to be I don't want anything keeping me here. And so then once I was promoted, the person that came in to interview for my job, there was a few people that came in to interview. And then I think Chanel was the last one. And first of all, immediately when she came in, we started talking and chatting about it. Would have been like 10, 15 minutes. And then my manager came out and she was like, is the girl here to interview? And I was like, oh, she's right here. Sorry, I forgot to tell you.
Oh, no, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And she got the job, so it didn't even matter. Right. And then my manager was like, well, it's good that you like her. And then what did you think? It was like me. Yeah, it was nice. Anyway, so the whole point of this was that after Chanel was hired and everything, there was a like shared experience, and there was a sense of vulnerability that we had without me having to express it. Like, because we both had the same positions and a lot of the same experiences, she already knew like some of those things that were kind of not unspeakable, but things that I just didn't want to repeat. I didn't want to explain to anybody. I didn't want to explain to anybody how I felt after, this thing happening. And she already knew because she experienced it. And so there was this like vulnerability that I didn't really have to express. And since I didn't like being vulnerable and expressing myself, like that helped me to get closer to her. But anyway, I was having the realization because in Severance, like them becoming friends, like helps them to like open up all these doors and finally anyway, I'm just having a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not having a good time.
Wow. That is so funny.
Yeah.
Y'all should watch that show.
Yeah, you should. I haven't seen the finale yet, so no spoilers.
Don't spoil it.
Have you watched it?
No. Don't care. This is what happens. Oh my gosh. What? I think we're going to say this at some point, or she was supposed to say it already. Another thing about being vulnerable is like, you're probably going to start spiraling.
Yeah.
And you're doing such a great job at examples today.
Yeah.
She literally was like, yeah, usually when you start facing yourself and the reality of what things are, you're like, oh my gosh.
It opens this door of like all these things that you haven't seen before. And you have to let yourself see those things. Like if I sat here and was like, I'm not severed. No, that doesn't apply to me. No, not applicable. Then none of this realizing and spiraling would be happening.
Exactly. And like, yes, it will be uncomfortable, as you
can see.
It's going to be overwhelming, as you can see. You're going to go through all of the emotions, right? And let's lean into that. Imani, you're doing a really great job.
Thank you so much.
Wow. I love this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Because it's so funny because when we're playing this episode, we're like, we really want people to understand that it's not going to be easy because obviously vulnerability is not something like marketable, right? Like no one's going to be like, you know what? That sounds great. I'm definitely going to sign up.
Super
for that.
fun.
Yeah. But we do want to show, we want people to know that it's not going to be that fun, but growth.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like a lot of things. Like there's a lot of people who don't like working out, but you do it because of, it's going to, you want to be healthy. Yeah. The benefits of it.
Yeah.
Same thing with vulnerability.
Right. All right. So vulnerability in friendships and in community can look like, I was talking to my therapist because I started working on this, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And I was telling my therapist that I've always kind of felt like I didn't have a lot of friends, even though like I had friends, right? Like I've always had plenty of people around, but I didn't feel like that connection. And a lot of people feel that way about me or have felt that way about me because they talk and they share things with me. But I don't feel that way about other people because I don't share myself with them, so they don't know me like that. My therapist was basically like, well, we can start sharing stuff about you. I'm like, I don't really know how to do that. And I feel like I've been friends with, this was when, so me, Imani, and Asia, we hang out all the time, whatever. And she was like, yeah, just start sharing things with your friends. I'm like, what do you mean? You want me to just start saying, hey guys, I was born at whatever PM? Like, how do you even start sharing? She's like, sometimes during conversations, there are moments where maybe someone says something about themselves, or like they bring something up, and there are moments where you can also add to that with your own experience or your whatever, right? And those are moments, I don't know what she called them, but in those moments, you're sharing yourself, and you need to like take those steps. I'm like, okay, I can do this. She's like, baby steps, right? And then like, so we're hanging out. Baby, I don't know. I just started saying,
blurting things out. We're like, okay.
Oh my God.
it's so funny because I just be like, well, this is on my heart, so I guess I should just share it. And then I just started saying random things. And then she was telling me, basically, you need to give the other person a chance to show up for you or be there for you, right? So, like, you say something, you kind of see how they react, and that's kind of how you judge. Brene Brown has a thing about, like, marble buddies or marble friends or something. Yeah. So it's like, you give a little bit, and then you see how they react and how the reaction makes you feel. And then it grows from there. So then I started doing that with them, and then it's like, they were accepting. It was normal, natural, nothing weird. I'm like, okay, well, this is safe.
Dip your toe in.
I'm like, all right.
Open yourself up to the possibility of harm.
Wow.
You were not harmed.
That's exactly what happened. So risky because, like, being vulnerable was not easy for me. I opened up myself, and then sometimes you get positive feedback. Is that what it is? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, positive feedback.
Yeah.
Positive reactions.
Reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I started getting closer with my friends. I don't know. Not trying to share too much, but
I was tearing up because we were talking about the same story. I was gonna say, like, when your therapist in that same conversation, she was like, people want to know you.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. It is nice over here. And ever since then, I've been very emotional, right? You know, when you open the floodgates, it kind of stays open. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, my friends, and they love me so much, and they accept me, and oh my, yeah. But it's really nice.
It's really nice. It's really cute. Nice. When you give people, it's really nice to give I guess it's kind of just, it's like not expecting the worst. Like,
yeah.
Something good could come of this.
Yeah.
Like, whole, like, it doesn't have to be bad. Something good could happen.
One time Imani asked me, she was like, do you think it was worth it? And I was like, yes. It was very much worth it. Good. Yeah. So hopefully, you know, that inspires you to open up.
Yeah. I think most of the time I feel like it's worth it. But there's also, I have vulnerability hangovers a lot.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What is a vulnerability hangover?
Basically, you know how, like, after you drink, like, the day after, you feel fucking terrible, you feel sick, you feel all of the consequences of what you did the day before. That's how sometimes you feel when, like, you feel like you've overshared and you're like, oh my God, now I'm going to see this person at work and now they know all the stuff about me. Oh my God, now they know I act this way. Like, now you're, like, having all these realizations and you're like, now I have to deal with this. I should have just never told them this. I should have never showed them this. I should have never invited them.
Yeah.
So they could see me like this.
Yeah.
And that is the worst. Right.
It happens quite a lot. It used to happen a lot for me when I was first, like, sharing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Why would I tell them? Why would I tell somebody that?
That's not even like you. Like, I used to be like,
You acting totally different.
yeah. And I don't know if we said this, but you might have an identity crisis. Because I think I was, like, talking about that earlier.
We were talking about spiraling a little bit, but we didn't talk about the identity crisis.
Yeah, because I was telling the story when I'm saying I don't know if this, because it's not something that I identified with, right? So it's yeah, because it's just different. Yeah. It's unknown. You're opening yourself up. You're like, I don't know if now do I have. Wait. So I was dating someone a few years ago, and I really liked him. I'm like, oh my gosh, and this is going well. This is serious. So immediately I started therapy. I was like,
that's when you started therapy?
Not like the first time. Like, I started back, and I was like, need her. And then I'm like, I started talking to my therapist. I'm like, the first sessions were like, so what are we working on? I'm like, yeah, I really like somebody, and I'm freaking out.
I do remember.
Yeah, I was like, I'm freaking out because I was not good at relationship management because the whole, like, vulnerability, intimacy thing,
a huge part of it.
Not my strong suit.
Yeah.
And then there was this time when we got into a little spat where basically he says the same thing, like, I don't really know you. You don't open yourself up to me. Da, da, da. And I'm like, Ooh.
Damn.
Are these the consequences of my actions? Are we not gonna make it because of me? So that I said, no, I need to fix this. And then my therapist was like, again, baby steps. You know, those moments, just open yourself up. I'm like, oh my gosh, we just have to keep doing it. And then I remember, like, one of the first times when I kind of decided to, like, say something, you know, personal or whatever, deep. And then I kind of freaked out and I started crying. I started crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just shared this with him. But he was very receptive. It was nice. It was safe. And I also cried because it was nice and safe. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was really scared, but it's okay. It's okay. And then after that, I'm like, so is this the type of person I am? Like, nah, I just gotta like share all my
just
feelings.
share and now like cry.
Like,
did you have a vulnerability hangover?
Not the first. No, not with him. With him, it was good. With my, I think with when I was doing it with you guys,
I did.
Because at the beginning, I'm like, oh my gosh,
what do I do?
Yeah. And then at that point, I have been like used to it a little bit, just not in that certain dynamic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to have it. Like our trainer, like a guy, our friend that trains us or used to train us or whatever, he's a really great listener and he's really great with people. And I have found myself, especially like at the beginning, I would just share stuff with him. And then at the end of the session, I'm like,
why would I tell him?
Why would I tell him that? What prompted me to share that with my trainer? And yeah, that's when I used to have hangovers. Or at work too. Sometimes I say something, I'm like, I was too fucking comfortable. I shouldn't have ate that donuts. And then I started sharing with people. That was my job that I hated, not the job that I loved. Yeah, I figured. I figured. Yeah, didn't have a hangover. Actually, I really loved that. That was nice.
I'm trying to think. I feel like normally, not even normally, I just feel like like anybody, there are certain things that I'm like comfortable sharing. And like, it may be like, I'm pretty comfortable sharing things about my family. And you are more comfortable now, but it like you usually didn't talk about it really at all. And so that's not something that's going to make me feel like I have a vulnerability hangover. But the things that do make me have a vulnerability hangover, I just don't really want to talk about because I have vulnerability hangovers from it. So, we've had enough exposure today. I don't need to be going into everything.
That's fair. That's fair. We can give people some examples in what ways you can be vulnerable with other people. I think we've talked about in relationships, whatever types of relationship, just opening yourself up, sharing yourself with people.
Sharing yourself is definitely important. And I feel like I'm not going to say that's the easiest, but it's kind of a good first step to take. Like, I'm saying that because another way that you can be vulnerable is like, no, it's just a different step. They're all just different. One's not easier than the other. So another way that you can be vulnerable with people is like setting boundaries and teaching people how, you like to be treated. Oh, when you do this hurts my feelings. When you use I statements, I feel whatever. I'm
betrayed.
I feel like my feelings are hurt when you said this.
That's funny. I think another one was, because you said like setting boundaries and stuff. For me, I think is asking for help. Asking for help is a really big one because I don't like asking for help.
I think sometimes I have vulnerability hangovers when I ask for help.
You do. I'm glad you know that.
I do not like that. Like, the next day, I'd be like, how could I even let myself get to the point where I needed that much help? Like,
Yeah, she's a work in progress.
I feel like I'm getting better at it.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
You are. You said expressing your needs. Did you say that? Yeah. I think that's a big one. That was a big one for me, even in all types of relationships. Just being like, I need this from you, right? Like, that whole like people should know what you need thing. That's not like real. You need to like tell people.
You have to tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't. It's just like, I mean, I feel like people talk about that a lot in romantic relationships, but it's in all relationships. Like
Friendships.
People cannot read your mind. People do not know. Like,
No, for real.
Yeah.
I don't think we have like vulnerability issues. I think we've done like the step-by-step thing.
Yeah.
And then it's just, we've collected a lot of marbles from each other, you know?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah, and we like are getting to the point where like we've known each other for it. Also, I think we've had a lot of those like accidental vulnerabilities where we're kind of just there.
Yeah. Well, since you're here while I'm having this experience.
Yeah, and then we've kind of learned like, okay, well, we've been there for each other. We've had practice.
Yeah. We've had practice.
We've had practice.
That's so cute.
It is.
You see?
You see what vulnerability can do for you?
It's so cute. It's so cute. Maybe one day you'll be with your bestie recording a podcast
About all your vulnerabilities.
It's so cute.
It's so funny because this is like my worst nightmare. Yeah. This is actually not something.
If you asked me this like a year and a half ago, I would have been like, not even a year ago actually. Last year was pretty rough. Being vulnerable was not.
Yeah, no. Almost a year ago, I started dating my now boyfriend, and I told him one of my red flags is that I don't like being vulnerable.
Way to start a relationship, guys.
I didn't start it that way. Just we're talking about red flags. I was like, yeah, it's a red flag. Sometimes they shut down. You need to know these things. You don't need to know just the parts of people that you like. You need to know all of them.
And
we're still together. So.
I was about to say, sometimes they stick around. They stay there like, you know what? You're a tough egg, but it's okay.
And it's better for him to know that than to just be like, I don't know what the fuck she got going on. When something happens, she just doesn't talk.
Oh, that's so funny because I think I like to tell people the worst parts about me in the beginning. I'm like, hey, look. I have some issues. You need to know that right now.
And the thing is, I definitely brought the conversation up because I was like, well, I wouldn't need to tell him what my red flags are. So he
oh, shit.
He needs to know this.
What did they be saying? If you can't handle me at my worst, gosh.
You don't deserve me at my best.
That's funny. Another thing about being vulnerable with others is that it builds trust, right? And better communication. One thing that you can be scared of probably when having tough conversations or sharing unpleasant feelings or uncomfortable having uncomfortable conversations. Yeah. Is the fear of like how someone will react. I think that's something that holds us back. You're like, I don't know how they're gonna judge me.
I don't know what they're gonna say. What are they gonna think after we have this conversation?
Especially because if you've never been in that situation with someone, you're like, you haven't tested the waters, right? Yeah. And you're like, unknown, right? Unknown territory. Unknown. And you're like,
possibility of harm.
Come on now.
So when we're talking about like those hard conversations and all of that, for me, it's a lot easier for me to have those conversations with people that I know because it's like I've seen these people on like this whole spectrum of emotion. Like I know what they're like when they're mad. I know what they're like when they're sad. Yeah. And what I don't like the unknown. That's will help you understand.
I'm just going to be honest with you guys.
I don't like the unknown. I just don't. And so that's another unknown. Like, I'm like, okay, I've never seen what this person is like mad. If I say this to this person, are they going to get mad? And I've talked to my therapist a lot about this because she's like, you can't control or predict how somebody is going to react to what you say or what you do. But there are some things that you need to say or do, and however that person reacts is just going to be what it is, and you have to deal with it. You can't like change what you're going to say to like, oh, well, maybe if I say it this way, they're not going to. You don't know. You don't know. You could say it in the nicest way possible, and they take it some way. You could say it like you don't know what people are going to do, and that's not your job to control that.
Exactly. I was going to say, I read this. It was a tweet from this person a long time ago. It said something like, you are only responsible for your half of any dynamic. And I really,
that's good.
I really like that because I think, like you said, a lot of times you try to predict or anticipate how an interaction is going, how a relationship is going to go, how, whatever. And you have to remember that you're literally only responsible for your part of anything. Like how you say something. So maybe you can try to make sure you communicate it as effectively
as you possibly can.
What someone else does with that, that's on them. And then, like you said, you can handle that once it happens. But the whole like predicting, anticipating, getting nervous, or shying away from what you need to do, what you need to say, or showing up the way that you need to show up, if you're trying to like always tweak that, arrange that, it's not gonna work out for you. Because at the end of the day, you just gotta, it's just you. Like, deal with yourself.
Yeah, you're responsible for yourself. That's
Yeah.
a big thing that I deal with, like just being responsible for myself. And because I have like this oldest daughter syndrome, I like feel like I need to be like responsible for other people, but
Yeah.
that's just not reality, and it's not realistic, and I'm not responsible for anybody else.
Yeah, it's really hard to like drill that into you.
Yeah.
When you're used to handling shit.
Yeah.
And the third little aspect of this is vulnerability with the unknown.
Okay, so what do we mean by like vulnerability with the unknown? So we started talking about this like in the
Yes.
through the lens
Mhm.
of like religion and faith and the divine, the universe, stuff like that. And so
So the spectrum should be something like faith, blind faith
Mhm.
versus, or on the other side is you're overly critical, or you're almost
Yeah.
like skeptical about everything.
everything.
Yeah,
That you
you don't have
trust
faith.
anything.
Yeah,
And that spectrum kind of explains like how we were just talking about. Like I grew up not really having any reason to doubt or question, or there was another word that you just said,
skeptical.
to be skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so like growing up, I don't really know that I want to say that I had blind faith. Like I wasn't all the way to one side where I just like blindly trusted everything that people said. But I also didn't have a reason to like doubt what like authority said, or like to question everything. Like I would question some things, like I would question and like try to learn about other religions and stuff like that. But just speaking very broadly. And now very broadly, I question everything and I'm skeptical about everything. Not that I don't trust anybody, but I just question everything. I question people's motives and stuff, and not even really like in a
Cynical?
personal
Oh.
way, in like a kind of like an authority. Like I question
Oh.
and I'm skeptical of authority.
Oh, okay. So it's more like
Yeah.
above, beyond yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What does vulnerability? I guess vulnerability. What does vulnerability with the unknown? What does that look like, or what is like the healthy
Faith.
faith?
Yeah, having faith, which ironically, that's what my name means. And I like have an identity crisis about it sometimes because I'm like, I'm not exemplifying what my name means.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And I say that because like I sometimes have a hard time. I have a hard time with the with the idea of faith, and like not blindly trusting God, but trusting God and all of that kind of stuff. And part of it is because I don't like to be vulnerable, and I don't like to let go and trust other people. I don't like to trust other people that I can see and feel, let alone trust this idea of something that I have. There's no tangible
evidence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's hard. It's hard for me to conceptualize, and I keep trying to teach myself that like not everything has to be conceptualized, not everything has to be like tangible, and yeah,
That's so cute.
yeah. Not to go into all my beliefs about faith, but I do believe in God. Let's.
If anybody was asking.
If anybody was wondering, I do believe in God.
Vulnerability as a catalyst for change. Vulnerability as the catalyst into higher beliefs. Believing in something bigger than yourself, right? And the catalyst or the vulnerability would be like life knocking you down. When you have like an emotional breakdown, when life is just going terribly and you're like, dog, I can't handle this. And usually,
You're actually most vulnerable.
yeah. And then sometimes you're like, okay, I have to let go of this. I have to surrender. And when you surrender, I guess that's where the face starts, right?
Yeah. Things are getting hard, but God will prevail. My brain just does not work like that.
Yeah, and that's
And also because that's how my mom is, and that's how she taught us.
there comes a point where you have to surrender. Okay? And that's going to be different for everybody, in context. She learned that through this whole like job situation. Like, hey, no, that hit because it hits so many aspects of your life. When you're like not doing well financially, it affects everything
Your
else.
entire life.
It's terrible. So she was learning that whole surrendering thing, not just with the job, but like relationship, like family, and like, ask for help and all of that stuff, right? And me too, to a different degree, because context is important, right? Yeah. Why should people be vulnerable with the unknown? What are the benefits?
Not feeling like
Life. Go ahead.
not feeling like you have to at some point realize that you are not in control. In my opinion, anyway, you have to at some point realize that you are not in control, and you have to kind of you have to accept the unknown and know. You have to trust that. You have to have trust. You have to trust that things are going to work out. You have to trust that things are going to be okay. And so it puts less pressure on you to like make everything okay. Like how we were just talking about it. When I'm still working on it, but getting to the point where I'm like, okay, regardless of how many jobs I apply to, whatever, I still don't control the outcome. Like I can like control the controllables, but at the end of the day, I don't control like what happens from it. And that like takes pressure off of you. It's like, okay, I've done everything I can do. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, you hit all the points. I think you can literally only control what you can't control. I think you and like other people would ask me like, how come you don't stress? Not just now, but like I'm not really someone who stresses out a lot, but that's because I do what I can't do, and then everything else, it's like, well, I literally can't do it. And it's like, and people are like, well, what do you mean? No, like, if you can do something about it, then do it. And if you can't, then let it go. I know that sounds like, oh, okay, whatever.
But also, I think, like, how do you decide when that... Well, I learned this recently. I hope I can find the picture. But it was like, if your best is... Like, something like, if doing your best is harming your mental health or your health, then that's not your best. Like, your best is what you can do without harming yourself. Like, yeah, your best is what you can do without harming yourself.
That's nice.
Yeah.
For me, like, if I start exerting myself so much that it's, like, taking the toll on me, I'm like, yeah, that's when I'm doing too much.
Yeah, that's when I like seeing that, because I kind of had that realization for myself, but seeing it written out, I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And it helped me to like accept decisions that I've made. I'm like, I don't know if I should have done that, blah, blah, blah. I could have done more. And I'm like, no, you were getting to the point where you like, it was getting dangerous. Like, you did the right thing. Not in a, not like self-harm way. Like,
that's funny.
Just getting a little bit unhealthy, you know? Yeah, let's wrap this up. But just to recap.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this episode is because we wanted to bring light to the fact that you obviously will have vulnerable moments that you're not in control of and that happen kind of accidentally or inevitably. And we want to shine light on the fact that you don't have to be ashamed of that, or that it doesn't have to be a weakness, and there's actually moments for growth and things that you can learn from those moments.
Yeah.
And also that you can also be intentional with your vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And there's times where you can just intentionally share with people. You can intentionally do all of those things. And that also can be a tool for growth.
Yeah. I think that was good.
Yeah. And so then we went into three different categories. So we started with being vulnerable with yourself.
We talked about how it can be a tool for growth in terms of self-acceptance, self-discovery, overcoming fear. It builds resistance and confidence in yourself when you're honest with yourself, right? Yeah. It's a catalyst for change because
in order to change something, you have to be aware of it first. So facing yourself and acknowledging and accepting maybe like an issue or, whatever it is with yourself, you can only...
That's the first step, right? Yeah. Accepting is the first step.
Accepting is the first step.
Yeah.
Admitting is the first step. Whatever it is.
Yeah, so you have to accept it. You have to be aware of it, like you said, accept it. And then you are in a position to change if need be. The second one was vulnerability with others. And we talked about how it can help deepen relationships and connections with others.
To go below the surface level, to actually know people.
And let them know you as well, right? Being open to that. And you are exposed. It's intimate relationships, in all facets, and the intimate ones are that's an area of our lives where we feel very exposed, right? And when you're intimate with people, you're choosing to expose yourself to the possibility of being harmed, both physically and emotionally.
But you're also opening yourself up to the possibility of not being harmed, of being embraced.
Of being embraced, loved, seen.
Accepted.
Known.
That's
good. Everything is on a spectrum, and you get to decide how comfortable you are, or like at which pace you should take it. Because we're talking about Marble Friends, we didn't really go into that, but Brene Brown has this concept of trust. You don't just blindly trust people with 100% of you, but you should give people the opportunity to show up for you, right? Like baby steps, and see how they react, how you feel about the interaction and the reaction. And then if you think it's good and safe, take another step. Make a
move.
Yeah.
And then we talked about vulnerability with the unknown or the divine or like your higher power kind of thing. A benefit or how you can grow from it is taking the pressure off of yourself to control outcomes. Trusting yourself to control the controllables. Control what you can control, and know or have faith and trust that the rest will be taken care of. You're changing your mindset. You're changing your mindset from, okay, I'm trying to control, like, I'm going to do this so that this can happen.
I was about to say life gets better when you learn to let go.
Yeah.
Because life will make you surrender at some point. So sometimes it's easier to take those big practice.
Yeah. Well, we intended to talk about how, like, instead of waiting for life to make you surrender, doing it proactively.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that, but...
And also life will still show up and force you. So
whether you want to or not.
It is what it is.
By choice or by force.
Exactly.
It will happen.
Thank you for being vulnerable with us today and sharing yourself, Imani.
Thank you.
This is our last episode for this season.
It is.
Yeah. We kind of picked this topic because life is changing for us as well, right? And even like this podcast, we're going to come back for season 2, but we don't have a timeline for that right now because life is
open
happening.
To the unknown.
Exactly.
We're surrendering.
We're letting go. So hopefully you guys tune in with us whenever we come back. We'll let you know, obviously.
Yeah. In the meantime, we only have these couple episodes that are on YouTube, but we have 7 other episodes that you can listen to on Apple or Spotify, and keep up with us on Instagram at ini.pod. That's our Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll, post every once in a while to keep up.
Stay connected, guys. Let's stay connected.
Stay connected. We will be back.
We will.
We'll be back.
Thank you for listening to us. We hope that you enjoyed at least one of the 10 episodes.
We hope that you learned at least one thing.
Yeah, please. And yeah, I'm so glad we did this. I'm really excited.
Me too. I can't believe we're done.
I know. That's crazy. That's so crazy. I'm so happy.
Wow.
I'm proud of us. I'm really
Me
proud of us. We really hope that you guys enjoyed, for sure. For real, actually. And
thank you for being here.
see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Instructions Not Included. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you laughed, and we hope you learned something.
To continue the conversation, please follow us on social media at ini.pod. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review. See you on the next one.